What is up, YouTube? It's Cord Campbell. I'm back here again today. It's Saturday morning. It's not even 8 a.m. So basically, we should be watching cartoons. We should pull up some YouTube Wiley. How do you spell Wiley? Wiley Coyote? Wiley Coyote. At least I know how to spell coyote. Yeah. Yeah. Tastiest Supersonicus and Eternal Lie Famishish. That's me. I'm totally always hungry. Yep. Oh my gosh, I remember this. And then he digs himself into the ground. Oh no. That's some inertia right there. But he always makes it out alive. He's like Thor. He's like the Thor coyote. There's a coyote out where I used to live in Moraga, and it's been like biting people, so I imagine it's like Wile E. Coyote. This coyote that's pretty funny. Like, the coyote should figure out by now, number one, he's invincible. Well, that's pretty funny. But then now his legs are all twisted up. That the Roadrunner's even more invincible. All right. So I'm gonna check my audio. You probably couldn't hear any of that, but that's fine. Copyright. All right. So I sound good. We're gonna start coding. So today's mission, this is going to be a two-parter, I think, is going to be putting together this blip shot by Foletto. I think that's their name. So Aaron Casali, Foletto. You can also write code. Well, why not? So what we're going to do is we're going to start by forking this. And what's kind of interesting is this thing, I found this thing by looking for a plugin that can take a picture of a website, and here's it actually in action. It's pretty cool actually. And then it just sticks it over here for you, and then you can click on it and it'll download it. And then you can go in and look at it. Seems familiar, huh? So we're going to do it our way, the way we've been doing it, and we're going to do it like this. I'm going to cheat. 019806. 019806. We've got Cunning Adder today helping us. I'm telling you, a lot of stuff is coming together in the past couple of days. I'm very excited about it. Let's see if we can search for it. I don't know if the indexer's running. It is running, so that's a good thing. And then if we click on this, then we get pretty much the same picture, I think. So let's see here what we got. Now the nice thing is that whenever this one does it, it names it. It has a name for it. Looks pretty much the same. This is ours. This is theirs. Looks about the same. All practical purposes, it's the same page. This one I'm signed in, you'll see here, which is great because if we need to be signed in, then the user can just click the button. Now I'll tell you a little story. And in case the person that I'm telling the story about happens to come along and watch this eventually, which I don't think they will, but if they do, good for them. Then maybe they'll understand a little bit better. So about what I wanted. So I offered to pay somebody, I think, like $1,500 or $1,000 or maybe $2,000. I can tell you personally, like just sitting here right now, I would have paid somebody $2,000 to do this. At the time that I was offering it, I would have totally paid somebody $2,000 to build me a plugin that I could click and that it would do this for Mitta. I would have totally paid for it, because then what happened is I had to go off and Joe had to help me, and then I had to build a grub deployment and all that. But then at the end of the day, I got a thing that does it without somebody clicking on a button. I can do it myself with the server, which is pretty powerful. But then the thing is we still need this, and let me show you why. I ran into a problem yesterday. So let's look at this, I don't know, some crappy ass house in Austin here. Okay, so let's do our little trick where we type in, and this is, I've got this running in dev just so that I don't have to go get my phone to log in. So we're gonna run this on realtor.com. Let's see what happens. Well, that worked. So yesterday when I was running it, and we'll do a search. So let's search for realtor.com. Is that the only one? I guess I deleted it. But yesterday Realtor picked up that I was a bot and said I was crawling too fast or hitting the page too fast, and so it cut me off. So that's going to be an issue for sure. At some point, these people are going to, a handful of sites are going to pop on and they're going to say, you can't do this. So if that's the case, then we're going to need another way of imaging pages. And there's another problem in general, which is, like, if we go to Google News and let's look for something from the New York Times. Maybe it's Reuters? Can't remember who it is that's onto us. I think it might be Reuters. Let's try this with Reuters and see if this works. So here's the page with Reuters. If I go to it too many times, they'll nab me for sure. But even in this browser, I think they only let me do it so many times. Let's see if what Reuters does here. So we can see the page. Accused by the Trump administration of being a front for the Chinese government. TikTok is a front for the Chinese government. Okay. Well, that worked. So occasionally, though, we'll have a page that's not going to work. Or, for example, a user might want to save something that's a logged in view. So, I mean, we're not going to be able, they can't give us a URL. They're not going to be able to save a URL and search for it later if it's something that they've got saved in, like, Dropbox or something. We're not going to be able to see that because we can't log in as them. And we certainly don't want to take their Dropbox credentials. And given that these images are not shared publicly, then we're you know, if we were to make it to where everybody could share the images, then we'd immediately get people complaining, you know, the site, the content owners, or the content dealers, we should say, as most sites are content dealers, not the owners necessarily. But they're distributing the content, then they would come and complain, and they would certainly have an issue with us, a legitimate legal issue with us doing that. But we don't do that. We actually are just saving it for the user that wanted it. So in this case, as me, I wanted to make a copy of this for fair use. So this is fair use. I can keep a copy of this for myself. That's a legal thing, at least in the United States, that we can do. But if Mitta were to allow someone to share this, then we would be breaking the law, or at the very least copyright. We'd be breaking copyright, which is still the law. So we don't want to do that. That's not to say that we might not have a machine learning library look at it later and do something with it, something intelligent with it. But then the machine learning library is us, and we're doing that on behalf of the user with the machines. At least that's the argument that Facebook's making with the Instagram crawl they did to train a neural network to understand what cats are. So you'd think I was kidding, but I'm not. I don't think it's in the index, but we can search for it. Let's see here. The title AI maybe? Facebook? I think it was in it was in a sidekick. I deleted the sidekick, so I killed him. Killed the sidekick. Poor sidekick. Okay. So this sidekick actually has quite a few documents in it already. You can see here, there's quite a few documents already. Oh, there's the Realtor thing. That's exactly what I was looking for, actually. So this is what Realtor gave to me yesterday, and it says down here, "I'm not a robot." You know what, Realtor.com, that's clever, but it's not going to take much more cleverness to make it to where we can click on this. So you should just not do this. There's just no point. If you want your content protected, you should do something like what Zillow does. And if you type in something like Austin here, you almost would think that somebody was moving to Austin. And then you don't actually have a page scroll here. So if I do this here, and it's on the default like this, or maybe if I scroll down a little bit, it doesn't matter if I scroll down here. It's not going to scroll down with, Grub is not going to scroll down. And if you look at this thing, it'll take a picture of it here. So now if I click on this, you can see I have what I'm looking at over here. So I could scroll down to the relevant content and click this button and get that screenshot. But if I wanted to do it with Mitta, then it's going to do the same thing, but it's not going to scroll. But at least with Mitta, you can search for it. Now, what's interesting here is the reason we don't have an image coming back for this particular search, and we're not doing the full text searching, is because once the grub box is done with this, it notified us that this image was uploaded once it finished. And so you can see now I've got this fixed to where it's coming in now. The problem is if I search for it, and this is 3109 is the address. So I'm getting the record, but the record was inserted into the index before the image was inserted into the index. So what I need to do now is I need to go and look at the document coming out of the index, and then I need to take the document and go look the spool up and see if I have the image that might be in the document. In other words, there might be an image in the document. So when this comes back, it should create another document. And I don't know if that should be created to the original or it's a copy of it. I think it's probably a copy of it. So then you would search it and you would get back the document with the image in it, or you could go look it up. Or you could go look up the other ones and show them the related images if there were multiple images. In other words, if I had they updated the picture of this, or it was Google News or Hacker News front page or something like that, those pages are going to be changing all the time. So you have some pages on the internet that don't ever change, and some that change a lot. Some are dynamic. So we have to handle both of those use cases, essentially a slider across whether or not it changes a lot or not. But anyway, you can see it's working. We don't have full text search capabilities baked fully in, but they're there. We could take this document or the spool, we could look the spool up, we could put it in a file, and then we could submit it to the tagger, which would then return another document, which then we could put into the index. But we're not going to do that right now, because we're going to go and look at what it takes to change a plugin to upload to Mitta. And this was the task I gave this individual, was to do this, something like this. And I had given them another project which was about as long, but this one is let's see here, title, let's see, it's called Blip, I think that's what it's called. Gosh, not it. Blipper? What was it called? I don't remember. I'll search for GitHub. Blip shot. Why doesn't it come back if I type this? If I did that, blip shot should come back. I don't understand how that thing works. I guess it's got to match enough of it. There it is. So this tilde is a thing that Solr provides you for searching. It's kind of like a close approximation. It's supposed to like match this word. So you could actually say lip something like that, lib show, and it'll show it to you. It's like it tries to match a significant part of the word that's here in the description. Anyway, so this is the thing that we want, and that's the URL for it. I don't have the links working on the search results yet, but we'll get to that. So this is the blip shot thing that I was showing you earlier, and we're gonna fork it. Did we fork it? We're gonna fork it again if we didn't. Okay, so this is our copy of Blipshot, thanks to Foletto. And so what we're going to do is we're going to change this so that it can upload the image to Mitta. So we have a couple of files here. So this is one of them. And then we have another one, which is this screenshotter, and that's the other one. And then we have the manifest. So this says these are the files. So it's literally those two files. And then there's a overlay.html file, which is in resources. And it looks like we have jQuery as well that we're using. So that's the entirety of it. So let's go download, I say download it. Let's go pull it in. Let's clone it and pull it into our local box. So if you're interested in developing Chrome plugin, this might be a good, oh, look at that, I already did it. I don't even remember doing that. It's because I talk too much. So if you're interested in developing a plugin, then maybe this is a good video to watch, although you're probably wondering when I'm going to get to it, and that's right now. So blanket style set. Let's go look at this. Let's open this up in Sublime. So Blipshot is our new favorite, and the reason why is because full page screen capture, the person that is running that, they haven't updated the repo in, I think, like 2 years or 3 years maybe. It's been a while. And the problem is there's a whole bunch of stuff that's happened since then, and well, it fails a lot. In fact, it fails more often than the solution that Joe has given us with Grub. We really need those things being able to snapshot an image, Joe. So get on that. I'll just give Joe a hard time. He's got a full-time job, so he's actually working really hard at a job, and I'm really proud of him. And that he even spent the amount of time he did on that other thing, I very much appreciate it. So, so this full-page screen capture was what we were going to use for doing this, but then now since I found Blipshot, I think that it'll be a good solution, and I'm going to hack it up. And it says here in the README, is it the README? No. I mean, look at this README. This is totally professional. I mean, if only I could do something like this for this changelog. It's just amazing. And they've been working on it for, I mean, 8 years. It's pretty good. Well, it looks like it might be somebody else's. Maybe it's not this person. I don't know what it's doing in her. I don't know. Let's see here. Did she fork it from somewhere else? She didn't. And I say she because it looks like a her, but I mean, I'm going to take from this that it's a her, but oh, she works for Automatic. That's great. I mean, if you're into hairball PHP. Okay. So where's the license? It's on the screenshot itself. There's David's. Okay. So this is the story with the use of this. So it says redistribution and use in source and binary forms with or without modifications are permitted, thank you, provided that the following conditions are met. So redistributions of source code must retain the above copyright notice. Okay, no problem. This list of conditions. Okay, no problem. And the following disclaimer. Redistributions in binary form must reproduce the above copyright notice, this list of conditions, and the following disclaimer in the documentation and or other materials provided with the distribution. Okay, so it's a plugin. So that means that we have to somehow, I don't know, can we put it in here maybe? Like we can have an options. This is the disable JavaScript plugin, but so we need to put the license in here somewhere. So that's a requirement. We need to put the license in here. So I guess we make, maybe we make a, well, let's finish reading here what's going on here, just so that we know. I've read this once already, but neither the name of the Baker framework nor the names of its contributors may be used to endorse or promote products derived from this software without specific prior written permission. So in other words, the Baker framework and its contributors never said that they loved Mitta and that you should sign up for it today. They never said that. And I am not allowed to say that without their permission. This software is provided by the copyright holders and contributors as is. And any express or implied warranties, including but not limited to the implied warranties of merchantability and fitness for a particular purpose, are disclaimed. Blah, 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 blah. Standard stuff. Okay. So basically we just need to put this message somewhere, probably just verbatim into maybe like the options for this. And so because we're going to put it up on, we'll put it up on the Chrome store, and eventually we'll build a Firefox one too, but I don't know, this probably doesn't work with Firefox. It's not. It's a Google Chrome extension. So another one will have to be written for Firefox that looks like this. But maybe we can hire somebody this time and actually pay them $2K to do this for us. So in the meantime, we're going to do it ourselves. So we're going to select this, and we're going to go over here and we're going to jump in and we're going to take a look at this. I've been stalling. I have no idea what I'm doing. Okay, so I've never written a plugin before for Chrome. It looks like it's documented well, so kudos there. Let's take a look at what it does. So we click on it, and then it does all that, and then we get this thing. And if you look there, it says blob. Down at the bottom here is where I'm looking right here. It says blob HTTP. So if I click on this, then it just downloads it. It's kind of funny because it shakes. See that? It's shaky. Okay, well that's all it does. I suppose we can inspect this, so we can see a little bit more about what's going on with it. So this is where it starts here. Here. This popover. So where is that popover is where my question. I don't see any reference to the popover here. Let's look for popover here. There's nothing. How about here? There's no pop over there. Oh, there's another file. And there's no pop over here. I don't know. How did they do it? Let's go over and grep. So we're going to say grep pop. Or pop. Aha. That's just pop. Maybe we need to look for this thing. Pop, capital P. Well, I don't know. I don't know how they did that. It's pretty magical. I'm becoming concerned all of a sudden, but you never know. So, where did it go? It disappeared. We have to look at it again. Did it reload the page? I don't know. I don't know what's going on here. So it says blip shot image, image ID, Chrome extension, blip shot image, page shot of Filetto, blip shot. So let's look for page shot maybe. Well, now we're talking. Here we go. Screenshotter DOM.js. So file name equals page shot. Action drag file. Like how? Like this? What does that do? Can we drag it in here? Oh. Oh, drag it in here? Huh. So that's the URL. But I mean, I don't know, like the URL of what? It's like a hash there. I don't know where that hash came from. Blob URL? I don't know. It says what window, E, data transfer, set data, download URL. Set a nice name. We can't set the name, fall back to the ugly name. That's what I make, is ugly names. Okay, so we have an add listener. This function prepares the internal plugin callbacks to bounce between the plugin and the DOM side. It's initialized right after declaration. Okay. Render screenshot overlay. Let's look for something called click, because that's what initiates the download. So this says get element by ID, blip shot dim, add event listener, click, action remove div. Well, I think that's where I click here. If I click off of here, or drag start, which doesn't seem to be doing anything. If you ask me, it doesn't seem like it's doing anything. That's the only place that says click. Let's look in here for click. There's no clicking in here. Get tab data. Due to security restrictions on the GARM store, blip shot can't run here. Try on another page. That's true. Please reload the page, use blip shot. That's because if you load the plugin and then you try to image a page that's already open, it doesn't work. Screenshot begin. Screenshot visible area. Format PNG. Capture visible tab. Quality 80. Function data URL. If data URL. Grab successful. Self screenshot scroll. Screenshot scroll. Action screenshot scroll. Chrome tab send message. Oh, that's for scrolling. So that's when it's scrolling the page. Screenshot begin. Screenshot end. Recursive image merge. Shared image data URL equals image. Self screenshot return shared. Screenshot return. UI status green checked. Okay, I don't know where that. I don't know. Chrome tab send message, this shared tab ID, blanket style, restore property position, screenshot return. You think that's like clicking here? I don't know. Event manager. This function prepares the internal plugin callbacks to bounce. Okay, we already read that. This function merges together all the pieces gathered during the scroll recursively. Returns a single data URL object from canvas to data URL image PNG to the callback. we have a canvas height limitation, which we don't care about because we have that on the other one too. There's a limit. I don't really care to get the whole page. Like, you just don't want an insanely long page. There's no point. Number one, whenever you pass an insanely long image into Google for Google Vision, it just doesn't do very well. Callback, canvas dated URL image callback. Note that the file type is. What is a callback? I'm interested. I don't use callbacks. I use jQuery. I will call back later. A callback is a function passed as an argument to another function. This technique allows a function to call another function. A callback function can run after another function is finished. Function first, function second, my displayer, goodbye, my first, my second. This example will end up displaying hello. I don't even see the word callback in here, so I don't know how that's an example. This is talking about callbacks. So this must be called, is that a my callback? Here. So you're passing in a function, my callback. Yeah, I'd say that's true. Where callbacks really sign are asynchronous functions where one function has to wait for another function, like waiting for a file to load. Well, I know, but I use like set timeouts. So those are, and then all the Ajax stuff, that's all handled by jQuery. So really jQuery makes it easy to deal with callbacks. You don't really have to deal with callbacks much. It just sort of deals with it for you because you have like those you know, like on error or dot error or dot done or whatever. Those are callbacks. And then that function that that we're wrapping inside of those are callbacks. So I am using callbacks. I just don't really think about them anymore. It's just not a thing. So I don't know. That may be a reserved word, or I don't know. I actually have no idea. But what we're trying to look for here, well, we don't know what we're looking for. This is sort of what somebody else would have to do if they were tasked with doing this, is they'd have to do what I'm doing. I looked at the other screenshotter a little bit and kind of understand it a little bit better, but I don't understand how this one works. So I'm just going to goof around in it until I figure it out. That's what the stream's about, goofing around. Saturday morning cartoons. Blanket style set. So all this does, this file doesn't do much. It looks like it's just styles. So I don't care about that one, at least for now. So here's the manifest. I guess we're gonna have to increase the version and rename it. We'll do that later. We'll get it working first before we take credit for it. So screenshotter DOM, we just looked at that. That's nothing. This place I live, which I'm not living here for much longer, I don't know what it is, like people and their dogs. It's what their dogs bark all the time. I'm so tired of hearing dogs bark. Although my dog barked all the time. Neighbor lets their dog bark all the time. Grab failed. I'm sorry, it seems Blipshot wasn't able to grab the screenshot. Tragic. Push. Screenshot scroll shared. We were just looking at this, weren't we? Shared. I want to look at where you click to like if you click this thing, then it downloads it. Here. And it says blob right there. Blob colon. I don't even know what that means. I assume if I click on that, I just see it doesn't do anything. Open a new tab. Oh, so that's the image. Okay. But then something is telling it to download it. And if I click here, it goes away. See? So there's a click event being added to the page there that says put it there. Oh, there's the check mark. Aha. So you can put a little icon over the top of the check mark. Let's go back and look at that. Where was that? I don't know, how do we look for a check mark? I think it said green or something. There's no green in here. There it is. Screenshot return. Function. UI status. Chrome tab, send message. Blanket style, restore, position, screenshot return. Okay, so let's do an alert right here. This is where we get involved. Alright, so what do we have to do here to make this work? That's obviously not going to work, right? Because we need to unload it. So remove from Chrome, remove. Then we click on manage extensions. Can I close that? Let's remove this full page screen capture. You can see I don't like ads. And I have disabled JavaScript, but this is what I have installed. Not much. Okay, load unpacked. And then we've got to go to code and blipshot and select the folder. And then we got to go here and we got to select blipshot, and then we got to go here and we get that off of there, and then we do that, and it says reload the page because it was open. So then we got to click on that, and there it is. And there's our hello. Which is great, because what's going to happen now is we're going to upload it to Mitta. Now, we need to figure out, like, where do we upload it? We need the URL. So I wonder if we have access to the URL here. It says shared. I don't know what shared is. I have no idea what shared tab ID. So let's look at shared. We definitely need the URL. Because if we don't have the URL, then it's kind of pointless to save it. It says image data URL 0. I don't know why it's a 0. Oh, there it was. It says shared tab URL. So we're going to change this to, well, we'll continue to leave it alert for the moment, but we're going to change that real quick. So it says this shared tab URL. So that should be the URL of the page. That's all we need. We don't need much more than that. So with that, we can make a call to the... We'll have to make a call to see if we're authenticated first. If we're not authenticated, then we're just going to bail. That's what we're going to do in this video. We should be able to get this done, I think, in this video. Maybe. We're dealing with raw JavaScript. I saw that it had jQuery here. It has jQuery, but I don't see... It's not using it. It has it as a resource, but it's not including it. I don't know. I mean, we could try to include it. I don't even know how to include jQuery. Let's see here. JavaScript include jQuery. Plugin. Chrome plugin. Or is it called an extension? Called extensions. Called it a plugin. It's the difference between a plugin and an extension. I'm writing a Chrome extension and I want to use jQuery in my extension. I'm not using any background page, just background script. Here's the answer. You have to add your jQuery script to your Chrome extension project and to the background section of your manifest like this. Background. Scripts, third-party jQuery, background JS. Why is it called background? I tried writing along with my work from background JS. Oh, so he's got a background JS. So this is background. Why is he calling it background JS? The main logic of my extension is side work.js, the contents which I don't think matters here for this question. What I want to ask is how can I use jQuery in my extension? Since I'm not using any background pages, I just can't add jQuery to it. So how can I add and use jQuery in my extension? I tried to run jQuery along with my work from background.js file. You have to add your jQuery script to your Chrome extension project and to the background section of your manifest like this. So I think this is just an extra one. So we need to put it in here, like this. And then it says, it goes into resources. And then jQuery -1.4.2.min.js, like so. If you need jQuery in content scripts, you have to add it in the manifest too. Here and here. Run at document end. Here, right here. So we gotta put it here. Well, we probably don't need to do both, but I'm doing both because I have no idea what I'm doing. Okay, so that's what we're gonna do. All right. I mean, I suppose there are people that know what they're doing. I'm not one of them. Okay, so that should be that. How can I tell if I have it? That's the question. And where was I doing what I was doing? Here. Not that one. Was it here? There we go. Okay, so we're going to save this, and then what can we do? I don't know. What else can we alert on? We could do a console log. So let's do a console.log of $, just so that we know when we have jQuery loaded. I don't know. Body. And I'm going to change this to a console log. So we should see that. And then I'm going to put another one in here just for good measure. Something like that. Okay. So now we're going to remove this. Yeah. And then we're going to, what? Load unpacked. And code and blip shot. It's back. We're going to click on this and we're going to enable it. And then we're going to go back here and we're going to reload the page and then we're going to click on this. So first we're going to get the inspector up. And then we're going to go to console. And then we're going to click on this. and it did absolutely nothing. Do we not have access to this console, maybe? That's a little weird. We don't have any errors. That's pretty funny. What if we keep doing it? Eh. That's awesome. That's pretty historical. Okay, so, whoops. Well, we can screenshot anything we want. We can screenshot this page too. It's going to tell us to reload it though. Let's go to this page. Just going to close these because we're opening a lot of tabs here. How are we doing on time? 45 minutes. Well, I figure we've earned like $200 already at least. Okay, so I mean, is it, I don't know what's going on here. So let's minimize that. We don't need that. Let's look at this. We'll look at the inspect this page. We're going to go to console and we're going to click on this again. Now see, it's done nothing. And it didn't alert, which tells me that maybe we can't console log? I don't know. I mean, we're able to alert, so let's alert. I don't care if we can't console log. It's a little odd that I can't. So let's see if we can alert those two things. So we have to go into extensions, we have to remove it. What is this? What's this thing? Reloaded. Could it be? That'd be handy. Oh yes. And there it is, there's our URL. So now we have the URL, that's perfect. So all we really need to do now is to check if we have access to jQuery, because I really don't want to make manual or JavaScript requests, because then I'll have to do callbacks. That'll just be a travesty if I can't use jQuery. Okay, so we're going to do this. I'm not that awesome because I don't know how to do callbacks. Okay, I did figure out how to reload my that's great, it has a reload. Yep, can't do that. I gotta reload this page, and then we're gonna click on that. And first thing is, yes, that's the URL, and there's object to object. Okay, that means we have access to the body, which means that jQuery is loaded and running, which is great. Okay, so now what we need to do here, I'd like to maybe, they're so good about making their little functions. I don't know that I should. Action, screenshot, return, shared. So they make a little call. I'm just going to fill this guy up with just all sorts of junk. So Chrome tab, send message, screenshot, return. I think that it's pretty much done at this point. I don't think that, I mean, you're updating the UI status. We could go back to where it says screenshot return, where it's being called. So it's being called here. So screenshot end. So we could find screenshot end. So we're going to go through here and it says screenshot return shared here. This recursive image merge. Right? Paste. Screenshot end. And then event manager init case screenshot end else, or case screenshot end Chrome extension on message add listener. So it's going to handle a listener event from that, and it's going to say break self screenshot end e shared break. So the event, this function prepares the internal plugin callbacks to bounce between the plugin and the DOM side. It's initialized at the end of this file. And then do we have a screenshot end in here? Yes. Screenshot scroll, screenshot end shared. Restore user scrolling, top. And then function screenshot end, send message. There's screenshot return, but that's actually rendering the template. There's a function to remove the div, closes the extension overlay, cleans up. See, what I want is like you click on it and then it just goes, sends it over, and then it's done. I mean, like they could, and then they can see it here, and they could interact with, they could download it if they wanted to, but then they could just close it. And if it goes green, then that just means it's been uploaded. If it goes red, it's not uploaded. So we'll get involved in this check mark thing here. We'll actually check. We can like make it turn red if it's not. We put an X in there if it's not working or something. But first, what we want to do is we want to try to upload it. So that's what we're going to do now. So we need to call our APIs. And in order to do that, I'm going to stand up. So, I'm so sorry about the mic. That's horrible. It's kind of noisy, probably. A little bit more noise, just for a second. One of these days I gotta fix my audio so that it's better. Alright. I think I might need more coffee, but I'm okay. What am I doing there? Oh look, I'm leaving. Wait, come back. Oh, here I am. All right. My hair's a little funny this morning. It's Saturday, so give me a break. Okay, so what are we gonna do here? We're gonna look at our API reference. So what we want to do is we want to create an upload spool, so we don't have to crawl it. You'll notice here that we've got this URL, so this is an interesting problem. So do we want to call the crawl, and then we want to do the crawl ourselves? Because what crawl does is it creates, if we go and look at crawl here, what does it say here? It says spool create, else this. So I feel like maybe we need a screenshot endpoint for this. It'd be much better if I could just create a, maybe what I could do is create a override on the upload function here that I could actually pass in. So here's the create. So I can pass in a title and description, but what if I allow it to pass in a URL? So I say URL equals request form dot get URL. This needs to be blah 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 spool create, but I think we do that in the spool models. Why has shell been changed? Oh, I deleted a line return. Okay, let's close that. Let's close this. Let's leave crawl open. We'll close search. We don't need grub. We don't need that. We do need to do a devlog. I don't know of any issues we've run into, but we might. We've got issues from the other day. And then, so we're working on a plugin. Just working on it. We don't know if it's actually going to work. Okay, so we're calling spool create here, so we need to look in the models. We need to go to the spool and see what here. So there's the URL. And we've got to create, and we're taking a URL, and it says if URL equals blank, then, well, that's great. So really I think the only thing that we need to do in there is say URL. So let's say something like, actually clean this up a little bit. I don't know that it's necessarily optional. It is going to get it one way or the other. So what we're going to say here is if not URL equals that, something that's, and honestly, the title and description, I still haven't figured all that crap out. And then that's the tags stuff. Okay. So the URL now needs to be URL, and then we can just take off this cruft. Because we do take care of that if it's not set. If URL is here, if we get the URL there, it'll still do the same thing. So all that code should be okay. So I'm going to close that. Well, I say I'm going to close it. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to close models and open upload back up maybe. Nah, I don't think I need it. I gotta look at my reference. So what I'm going to do now is now I'm in here and upload, and so, oh, I got to update the docs there, or I will forget. So upload. Here. Yep. And now reload this. There we go. So now we can send the URL in. That all that does is, like we were doing that with crawl. Crawl will do that for us because you submit a URL to crawl. That's all that you can submit to crawl on the post. But here in upload, you can optionally send in URL. I haven't really made it distinct here, but I do say requires token and URL. And here it says optionally accepts title, descriptions, and tags. So then we just need to say something like this here. I'm all about efficiency, so I'm just going to do that. And then is it an upload URL? Lowercase URL, like that. So optionally accepts URL, title, description, and tags. And if you don't send in the URL, then it will create its own URL, which is basically going to be a way, we're not done with that yet. It's not really an API function, but it'll be a way that you can go look at all of the images in a spool. It'll have a view for it. So there'll basically be an endpoint for it, and that might it might have thumbnails of those pages, which is allowed. So by copyright law, we can make a downsized version of those pages. We can't make it the entire content or the photos, but we can make it like a thumbnail. So it might end up being a view of the thumbnails, and then that way if somebody wants to say, well, what is the URL reference for this spool? Like, how do I look at what this, like, what's the view of the spool? If we send or save a URL with grub or with upload, like we're doing here, we need to know where it came from. What was the source of it? So if the user uploads a bunch of images and they're just pictures of dogs or whatever, because that's what we're going to do for being able to let the models look at the images that the users upload for tagging, just like we would a URL, a screenshot of a URL, then we need to have a way of saying where it came from. So that's why we're doing that. It needs to have some universal resource locator, a source, if you will, of where the object came from. It doesn't mean that it's going to be there if you go look, but at least it's a hint from when it came from. So this makes a little bit more sense now. We're kind of going back over the APIs now that we're using them, and we're filling them in. So it's good to have a use case to implement against these so that we can kind of see how somebody else would use it. Okay, so now what we're going to want to do is call this sucker with a post. And then the thing is, if the URL already exists for the spool, we need to use it. And that's what we've got here. So we actually say, check if the URL for this UID exists in spools. Otherwise, it'll make another one. I don't know I want to get into that. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to type in here issues. Is going to be deduplicate new spools by URL, like we did with crawl. That just means I need to be able to handle that just like I did in there. I just don't want to implement that here because we're at an hour, so we're only have a little bit of time. So I want to make sure we have accomplished something. This is going to be a two-parter, so I'll get this running, whatever we get running in this. I'm going to go just 30 more minutes, so we're shorting the streams to 90 minutes. That's a much better format for me. It's kind of brutal to do 2 hours, and then especially with bathroom breaks and stuff. And so I've got, I think you're supposed to say bio break, but I mean, everybody goes to the bathroom, so deal with it. So the idea here is that we should get the upload, at least the spool created. So, and we should be able to do that right out of the gate because it's already doing that, supposedly. Famous last words. All right, so we're going to be calling this. I just want to look at it just because I'm going to have to think about it later. So this is where I'll have to put that dedupe stuff in here. I'll have to look it up, make sure I have the URL and that stuff. So I did here in the crate here because now I'm grabbing the URL. So I'm going to create it. I'm going to get it back. So the first thing I got to do is do a post to create it. And where we do that is in upload, just our reference code. This is how I remember code. So here's a post right here. We got some tags in there. We're not going to send in tags, but we are going to send in the URL for sure. Well, I think it's a /post/u, I believe. Now, I don't know how I'm going to do this with prod and testing to localhost. I don't know if we can make a call to localhost here. I guess we can test that first, huh? Let's do that by testing the health check. here. That will also ensure that we're logged in. So we're going to need to do that. Okay, so here what we need to do is a git, like that. Yeah? I'm going to move this, I'm going to move this window to this desktop. Can I move this desktop around? Can't. Let's move it to this desktop. Let's move it here. Now let's put it over here. We may have to do a call, but if we have to, we may have to do a manual curl call or something. And then let's put this. Let's minimize that guy, and let's put this one over here. How's that look? That looks pretty good. Okay, so this is our meta code. This is the plugin code. Okay, so we're going to go into what? Upload. Create a spool for an upload. And I think we just want to do, initially, we want to do HTTP localhost 8080 / health check, comma, function, data, and then we want to put alert, because I don't think we have console log, I don't know, data. So let's see if that works. So we're going to go back here. We're going to click on our extensions, we're going to click on reload, and then we're going to click here, and we're going to reload this, and then we're going to click on our flip shot. Okay. Why? Did it not reload it? I don't know. So that's the object. So let's go back to extensions. There's some errors. jQuery anonymous function. Refuse to execute inline script because it violates the content security policy directive script source self-blob file system. Either the unsafe inline keyword, a hash, or a nonce is required to enable inline execution. Oh, we've got to do the hash of it. Oh, it's refusing to load jQuery. Okay, well, there you go. Looks like Chord's doing some callbacks. Okay, so let's get rid of that. I don't need that. I might need that. God knows. Okay, so we're going to have to do JavaScript Git. Ajax Git. Ajax Git. The reason it wants that is it wants me to sign, and what that jQuery needs to be signed. That's doable, but I don't know. You can define a function to be executed when the request receives an answer. This function is defined by the onReadyStateExchange property. Function this ready state equals 4, this status equals 200. Document get LMYAD, this response text. Alright, so that's the text we're going for. So we got to go into the manifest and we got to undo this jQuery stuff. So we're doing it manual like. Boy, just difficulty just went up a little bit. Not too bad though. I mean, I already have difficulty with jQuery, so it's about the same difference actually. Problems are problems. People are problems. Yep. So this is going to be HTTP localhost 8080/H. And then this says on ready state change. Ready state change 4. I don't know what that means. This status will, so it's a 200. And then I don't need to do any of that. I just need to print the response. So I'm going to do an alert on the response. You know what? I may not get done. At least we'll be hitting the health check. Maybe. Maybe we'll be hitting the health check. Okay, let's go back. Let's reload. We got to reload the extension. Good thing I noticed there were errors. Go away, errors. Okay, so there's no errors. That's actually pretty handy. I like that a lot for developing a plugin. I mean, start doing JavaScript and do a plugin. Jeepers. You can make a lot of money with them, I think. Okay, we're going to reload this page. Then we're going to hit this. And then it says that. And then what? Nothing? Nothing. Didn't do anything. Did it give me an error? Where are my errors? Here are my errors. It says uncut referencer XHTTP is not defined. Okay. I mean, I think what the deal is that that's not... Why are people banging around? Make any sense to bang around in there? So I gotta do this. Now why on earth they wouldn't include that in the document or in the example, I have no idea. Well, I guess it makes sense, but whatever. So this is gonna be XHTTP, like that. Okay. Go to the extensions. We're going to clear all. We're going to go back. We're going to reload. Go back here. We're going to reload the page, and then we're going to click on this. Okay, that's good news. And then that's our result. So you can see here we got it. We got our user ID back, which means we are logged in. So that's excellent news. Okay, so now what we need to do is we need to do a I don't know how synchronous that is, but I guess that's, what if we're not logged in? What's it gonna do? So let's try it if we're not logged in. So let's log ourselves out here. Oh, by the way, I redid the help. I still can't click on these, but I cleaned it up so that it's not showing a bunch of stuff that's not true. So, and all of this stuff is now working. So like if you hit enter here, it doesn't like repeat itself or anything like that. So definitely a little bit better. So we're getting there. I think it's making a little bit more sense. So let's log out. And then let's go back to here and we're going to reload the page and then we're going to click on this. and then it says user ID is anonymous. So there was still a success hitting the endpoint, but then it's anonymous. So we're going to go back to the code, and then we're going to say here, we're going to say if, I think this is where we can say it. But here's the problem, is that we're on ready state change. This is the callback. So we're going to open that, but then we're going to do another one. And I don't know about how we're going to do the other one. I guess it doesn't matter. We'll do this first. If this dot response dot text equals anonymous, then alert, you need to log in to Mitta first. Else, we can do other things like var x HTTP 2 equals, I don't know, XHTML request, new XHTML request. Then we do a XHTTP2 on ready state exchange equals function. Thanks, I guess. Okay. Sublime. Then we're going to do alert this dot response text. And then we're going to do XHTTP2. We'll have to figure out how to do nested ones, but we will do that. Open. And then we're going to do a post, comma. And I have no idea how to send data, so we're going to have to go back and look at that. HTTP localhost, because we're doing dev 8080/u, comma true. And then xhtp dot send. Alright, so this is our callback function, which is the onReady state exchange for the XHTTP2 thing. I'll put that one in there. Alright, so now let's go reload. Let's reload. We'll have to reload this first. Reload this page, and then we'll reload this page. And do we have an error? No. And then we're gonna click on this. And there's that. And then that says undefined, which is not great. That says that. Oh. Well, there's no errors. I don't know why it said it so many times. I don't know if it threw the onReady state exchange again. I think this is in the, no, there's this response text here for this XHTTP2. I could try to put this up at the top where they all belong. Or what I could do is I could try to open it again. I don't know. How are we doing on time? Ooh, we only have 20 minutes. Well, we're getting there. We made a request. So Ajax, JavaScript, nested, Ajax 8x HTTP request. Here we go. I've read a couple other threads on this, but can't seem to quite grasp it. That's me. I don't really know a lot about JavaScript. Well, that's not true. I know some about JavaScript and have basically guessed my way through so far. Well, that's pretty much me every day. I just guess my way through life. I have one function run an Ajax request to get some rows from a database. So the issue is when you're trying to access the return value from the second Ajax call as if it were synchronous, and it isn't. So when you get get summary variable options inside the first Ajax call, you need something like this. Get summary variable options. Then add a parameter your get summary variable options function that receives a function that is to be called when the data arrives, the callback. When you get summary variable options, it starts Ajax. Almost got there. Following answer from Jamie, still had an issue for get summary. Need Ajax requests, need an array to store each request and log errors on complete. Sequential Ajax script. C on load B, C send. So it's here's the next one. So it says load main sequence main list. So run sequence Ajax main list. So this is the Ajax function. So it's calling Ajax on the main one. Then it calls sequence main list JSON parts this response, then run the next one, then do this one, then something with the detailed data. That's interesting. Okay, well that's what we're gonna have to do, and I don't have time to do that here. Another option would be to use jQuery. So let's look at how to solve the problem. I mean, it's going to be much easier to use jQuery because jQuery handles all that and it has all the logic for it. So let's go back and edit our manifest real quick. So we want to do put the jQuery stuff back in here like this, and then I want to let's see here. We'll go ahead and save that. And then let's reload this, and we're going to get these errors, and it says refuse to execute inline script because it violates the content security policy directive. So we're going to copy this, and then we're going to paste that in, and then we're going to say jQuery refuse to execute. This is from 2021 on Stack Overflow. Refuse to execute inline script because it violates the following content security policy. And it says here, I also faced such a type of problem when I was working with LinkedIn OAuth API. I was using LinkedIn with the settings for Cordova meta tag was script here. Fixed problem to add URI into meta tag like this. The problem with that is going to be that that's not a Chrome extension problem. The inline resource should be moved to its own file. If the blocked resource is an external file, it should be added to the policy. For example, above, if we had the error message refused to load the script because it violates the we need to add this script to the script source directive of the policy. Okay, so do we have something like that? I don't understand why it ran earlier. Can we delete this? Maybe? And then rerun it? Because it seemed like it worked. Because we got that object back. Clear all. A reload. And we still have the errors. Alright, let's flip that around. Let's put that in here and then take it out of here. And then clear all, and then go back here and reload it. And now we don't have the error, but do we have access to jQuery is the question. Content scripts. We just need it from the script itself. I'm just going to go right here and I'm going to do this. Like that. And then we'll go back and we'll try that. Reload that. And then we're going to go here, we're going to reload this, and then we're going to click on this button. We didn't get anything. Nothing happened. Now let's go back to the extensions and look at the errors, and it says alert $body. It says anonymous function. Yeah, so it's not, it doesn't have access to it. So that, I mean, that kind of answers our question about in the manifest that it needs to be in the background, not here. It doesn't matter if it's here. So let's save that, and then I want to figure out why it ran earlier. So let's clear all and let's go back. I think the thing is it's going to run locally, but it's going to give us the error, and which means that if we push it to the store, that's not going to work. So if we try to publish this, it's not going to work. It'll be blocked. So there's the object to object. It's allowing it to run because it's local. So we could go ahead and code up the solution, but I'll need to figure out so we have like 3 minutes. Maybe I can do it in 3 minutes. So here I'm running this thing. So let's get rid of all this crap because this is not even right. That's not going to work. So we're going to do a $.get, and then we need to do that on /health function data. And I think we did this earlier, didn't we? Data. This worked earlier. That should work. Refresh this. Refresh this. Click on this button. That said nothing. Did it make the request? Let's do this. Inspect. Network. Click the button. There's that. Huh. It did not make the request. So we are able to print the body, but it's not making the request. Thought it was making the request earlier, but I think that was from our manually doing it. So one way or the other, we've got to figure it out. I either have to figure out how to get so it's preventing it from getting the data here. Like it's not allowing it to make that call. And it's a security problem. It's just saying that it doesn't want to allow it to do that unless we authenticate. We specifically authenticate and probably sign that document. So we'll figure out how that works in the next video. And between now and then, I'll get it working, and then I'll re-implement it in the next video so that we have it. So this is sort of like the idea of what we're trying to do. We've kind of covered we want to go and take an existing plugin that we have the code for and make it do something. How do we get into that code? And we found the place to do it, which is the screenshot return. This is where we want to do the business. But then we need to figure out how to actually get jQuery in there, and that became a challenge. We tried to do the HTTP requests, and that's going to require understanding how to do the callbacks. So I'll do a little bit of investigation, and then I'll come back, and the second video will finish up on implementing, creating a spool, and probably uploading. At that point, we should be able to upload no problem, because we have, I believe, we should have at this point access to the data. I think that's in the shared object. So image, I think this image data URL will contain, I think that should contain, let's see here, the image itself. Yeah. Not sure. All right, so I am Cord Campbell, and you've been watching Coding Mitta. And if you like the video, make sure you give it a thumbs up and suggest it to somebody. Tell them to come in and subscribe. We're going to keep doing these. There's going to be 100 episodes total before we're ending the stream, or this series is 100 episodes. Around episode 50 we should be launching, so like the first half of the season is going to be getting to launch, the second half of the season will be post-launch. So there's a lot of stuff to happen in between now and then, but we're getting there. As you've seen in the videos earlier, we've got search working, we've got crawling and imaging working, and full text extraction using a machine learning library that Google is providing us is almost running and working and almost into the product. So I just wanted to be able to get the screenshot function here working, so that if we weren't able to crawl something, or we were wanting to like quickly send it over, that we could do that. There'll probably be a button, you click on this and it'll screenshot it. I gotta reload this page. It'll screenshot it, and then we'll have an option in here that you could just tell Mitta to screenshot it as well. So there'll probably be a button in here that gets added in here eventually, but that's for another day. So I hope you have a good one, and take care, and stay safe out there, and keep coding on with your friends. Take care. Cordless out. And then I never know if I'm done